Hello there, friends. Welcome to the review of the Anker Ergonomic mouse and the Logitech MX Vertical. So you can see this is a real desk and a real user. Joking. So just to start, I can say that I have above average hand size. I'm like 6'6". So this is how the mouse, the Anker fits on my hand. Okay, you can see there's a nice curve here. I can like put my hand like this, and this is the MX Vertical, and this is how it fits. Okay, realistically though, this is not how I use them. Although I can fit my hand in here, I usually don't use like this because see my hand, my fingers, they pass a little bit. So, and since I'm using the scroll wheel a lot, I just tend to pull my hands a little bit back so it can naturally reach the scroll wheel. Okay, so although they have a shape to fit the hand, usually I don't use that. Maybe if your hand is smaller, maybe it will wrap your hand better around it. So if you go here to the MX mouse, also this curve, I guess they expect people to fit their hands in there. But for me, my fingers, they pass and it's not as fun to reach the scroll wheel. So they tend to go back a little so I can fit. Okay, so the consequence of this is that this anatomical part here doesn't fit my hand that well. So when I'm doing this, my hand is like weighing on this this part of the mouse. Okay, so like a bump where this part of my hand fits. Okay, while I'm using the mouse, and here too. So this is the first difference I can tell between the two mice. Okay, if you see that the two mice, if you look at them like this, you can see that the MX Logitech is a little bit bigger than the Anker. Okay, the curve you can see is almost similar, but it's bigger. If you look from the top, it's also wider. So the first thing that I notice is like how my palm fits in here. So this, although it's smaller and the curvature is almost similar, I feel less of the bump here. Here is more pronounced. My hand is like always resting on this bump here. Okay, maybe if your hand's smaller again, maybe you can go forward. I don't know, but still, I find it's gonna be the hands don't go over here. The second thing, the difference is like here you can see this part is wider, and the Anker doesn't have as big of a support for the thumb. So here my thumb can kind of rest in here while I move the mouse, let's say a little bit, and then the Anker doesn't have it as big one. So your thumb has less support, unless like me, since I'm dropping back a little, it increases the support a little bit. But if I'm here, there's not a lot of support. The support's more on the palm. As though here, there's a support for the thumb. So another thing that I would like to point out is when I'm using the mouse and you grab it like this, the position of the pinky. Okay, you see here how it goes. Let me see, focus. So let me show you in front of the mouse, like real mouse, dirty. Okay, so you see how the slope is, and you see how in the MX mouse, there's like a bevel there. Okay, so when I grab the MX mouse, my pink goes exactly on top of that bevel there. And I find it annoying. So like when I'm using and grabbing the mouse, my finger naturally goes under there and gets into the bevel. I don't know how you can deal with it. Maybe they're expecting your hand to be fully supported here if you have a small hand, but I can tell that naturally all hands will fall on the bed, on the table and rest there. So I find that part annoying. On the Anker, it's I don't feel that much, you see. So, and I always notice when I'm using the MX mouse, I feel that annoying feeling of like being against the bezel. Okay. So another thing I'd like to show is the functionalities that I could tell right away. I couldn't tell before when I only had the Anker, but now I can. So here's how the screen looks when I'm scrolling with the MX mouse. See? Very smooth. Now I'm going to scroll it with Anker mouse. See? Not as smooth. It didn't bother me before. I didn't have any comparison. It was fine. Still fine if you scroll fast. Not going to notice, but with the MX is way more smooth. Okay? Sometimes I maybe I feel this the precision is a little bit. So this is the MX mouse. Now this is the Anker. See, sometimes they like jaggery. Anyway, I didn't notice that before, but now that I have a comparison, I can tell the MX is smoother. Another thing is the the keys here. I don't know how to call it. The buttons, yeah. The buttons on the MX are easier, lighter to click. The MX, they're a little bit harder. So like if you're moving around and you press, you have to hold your mouse, which is I'm used to. But here on the MX, this is way easier. I never use those other buttons. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I never reach for them. One last thing is the Anker has a place to store a dongle if you travel. It's very useful. I always do that when I'm going to work somewhere at a chalet or whatever. And here you don't, okay? So you have to remember about your dongle. And here you can charge your mouse, and here is the battery, okay? Have to change it a few times already, but no problem. So my biggest complaint about the Logitech mouse is the bezel here where my finger rests, and because my hand doesn't fit this curve, I had this pressure here on my palm constant. Okay, it's a bit of the same here, but because Anker is a smaller mouse, I don't feel the bump as much. Okay, and I don't feel any uncomfort because of the bezel. Okay, so naturally I'm moving towards using the ergonomic mouse with more my front of my hand. Okay, so maybe I'll see how it goes with the MX. But you see, still just by holding this, the bezel annoys me. Another good thing is like about the Anker is lighter than the MX. So sometimes if I'm just reading and scrolling, my hand, I can just grab it and tilt it to the side like this. And then I could just scroll, like at work, and then just rest my hand like this, like to relax my forearm. And the MX is just more cumbersome. Like it's not gonna work like that, But I feel like if you use it more like with the front of your hand, might be interesting. We'll see. I'm still not convinced. I really like how the buttons feel and the scrolling and everything, but I don't really like the ergonomics that much. Okay, so maybe I'll just try to get the better mouse, another MX version, not the vertical one, or maybe I'll just stick with Anker because the price is not even close. Okay, this was, I got in special $100 Canadian, and this one was like $20 or, and they also sent me another version to test because I had a complaint. But anyway, if you're just trying to find a good mouse for cheap, just go with the Anker. And that's it. That was my first review. I just thought that would be helpful for other people looking for something similar. Not fancy reviewing or anything, but that's it. If you have questions, post below and I'll get back to you. Take care.